Hey, what's up? John Sonmez here from SimpleProgrammer.com. So I got a fitness question topic today that a couple of people have asked me. I thought, maybe I should actually do a video on this, which is how to train for a half marathon. If you don't know, I started doing half marathons last year. It's basically, I think it's almost been, what's it been? It hasn't even been a year since I ran my first half marathon. The first one I ran was the San Diego Rock and Roll half marathon. I'm actually going to be running the full marathon this year. You can check out the video. That's why I'm pointing over here of that. And you can check out I've got probably a playlist of my running videos. Maybe we should have one. How about a playlist of my running videos? There you go. You can check those out if you're interested. But I'll give you a little bit of background on myself, on my love-hate relationship with running, and then I'll give you some of my thoughts on how to train for a half marathon if you want to accomplish that feat, which it is really not an easy feat, but I think anyone could do it. Now, the marathon is my next challenge. On June 4th, I'll be running the Rock and Roll Marathon. I've run the distance in training just to see if I could do it, and I've done it. It was not easy, so I'm pretty confident that I should be fine, but it is a lot of training to get there. So let me tell you about my history. It's amazing that I can even run a half marathon, at least in my mind it's amazing, or run a full marathon, which seems insane to me, especially considering that I have spent a decent amount of my life running, but running shittily. Shittily is my word for today. What I mean by that is that even when I'm trying to think, when I first started running when I was probably like 16 or 17 years old, and I would run for like 20 minutes around the base, like the Air Force base where I was at in Hawaii. And why did I start running? Let's see. To be honest with you, I'll be totally honest with you. The reason why I started running was because, well, I wanted to get in shape because there was this girl that I had this crush on in high school, and I would run by her house. How creepy is that? Like, I'd run by, like, oh, she's gonna come out the door and notice me and be like, just, damn, you're just awesome. You're running. Oh, that's see, some of you guys that are like, oh, John, you don't know my pain. You've never felt my pain of being a dork and being this sappy guy. I know your pain. I know your pain. I do. Now, would I do that kind of shit today? No. And should you stop that shit if you're doing that shit? Yeah, you know who you are. But anyway, that is why I basically started running, is I was like, I gotta get in shape and I wanted to run by that house. So I did it. And I ran about, I think it was maybe like 20 minutes or so when I would run. And I'd run maybe, I think every other day or something like that, maybe 25 minutes. I wasn't even going for distance at that point. I actually ran a 5K, which was a huge accomplishment for me at that time. I thought, running 3.1 miles, and I don't know what my time was, but it wasn't very fast. I was not a good runner. I didn't run much. I did track actually in high school, and we had to run LSDs, long, slow distance runs, and I wasn't very fast at that. I wasn't very good. I didn't think I was cut out for distance. I was actually a pole vaulter in track. What I know now is that I should have been running sprints. I should have been running the 400, because I'll tell you, I can turn it up now. I can crank it out. I didn't realize how fast I was, like how I'm just kind of genetically gifted as far as speed. Like, I'd just be honest with you, like I can run really fucking fast when I sprint. I didn't realize that at the time. I wish I would have known that then. I could have been a contender. But anyway, I'm not really built for distance, okay? I mean, obviously, look at me. I'm not really built for distance. In fact, I did a genetic test. I did a test at 23andme.com. I don't know if they have an affiliate program. I should have checked. Maybe I'll point to them, and if they do, this will be an affiliate link. And if they don't, it'll just be a regular link. How's that? But when I did the genetic test, it actually said in my genetic profile was sprinter. Like, I have some genetic mutation that makes me have the fast twitch muscle fibers that would make me a good sprinter. So it's true. I'm not lying. I'm not just making this stuff up. With that said, to give you some more of my history, I started running back then. Now I stopped. I was off and on running. I never really ran more than, I think, up to that point, like 3 miles. And if we go, a little forward in time here, I picked up running again maybe 6 or 7 years ago just to do some cardio, get in shape, and I felt like, you know, my view is that a man should be able to run 5K. You should be able to run 3.1 miles. Like, it's just like, you should be able to do that. I just feel like if I can't do that, then I'm less of a man. That's my opinion. It doesn't have to be yours, but I just feel that way. That's just like a baseline for me, right? So I wanted to make sure that I can always run a 5K. So I have kept that up. And so I did that. I started actually, it was more than 5 years ago, 6 years ago, maybe 5, something along those lines. And I started running 5K or 3.1 miles about 3 times a week, okay? And I did this for like a couple of years. In fact, if you listen to my old episodes of the Get Up and Code podcast, you can check them out here. I talked about it. I talked about running, and I had illusions of, I made up some bullshit that I thought that I don't want to run more because I'll mess up my gains, I'll lose muscle, and I kind of believed it. I kind of was telling myself some bullshit because I didn't want to run more because I hated running. Honestly, like, I ran for those 2 years. It sucked. Running sucked. I hated it. I was only running for like half an hour, to be honest with you, right? I did this Couch to 5K program to get into it. And then I was running for half an hour, and I hated it. And I never got better. I didn't get faster. It didn't get easier. I was like, man, what the heck? I'm running for like 2 years consistently. Like, I never missed a day, 3 times a week, right? And running 3.1 miles, it seemed like a lot of running to me, but it just, nothing changed, okay? So, you know, I was talking about this on the podcast before when I had the Get Up and Code podcast, and how I don't see how people can run a half marathon. I don't see how people can run a marathon because I just must not be cut out for that. I can't even do a 10K. A 10K would be killer. Then one day, I don't remember, there was some episode I actually recorded when I was running the Get Up and Code podcast. I just decided, like, I realized that I had this mental barrier, this limit in my head, and I was recording the podcast while running. Sometimes I do videos while running, or kind of crazy. I know. But I was thinking to myself while I was doing this, I was like, you know what? If you can talk, you can keep on going, right? Like, if you could talk and record a podcast, you just think you're fucking tired. You just think that you can't make it further. So that day I ran I think 8 miles or something. That was the longest I'd ever run. And I did it. And then I started upping my mileage. So then I started running 6 miles instead of 3 miles. I basically started running 10K or 6.2 miles. And I did that for about a year, and guess what? Not only did running get easier, it got more enjoyable. I was having a lot more fun running. I was actually getting better and improving, and my time was improving. So there was this threshold, I believe, that I needed to pass. Then when I got here to San Diego about a year ago, right? I started running. It's nice. There's a beach, there's a boardwalk. So at first I was running like 4 miles, 4.5 miles or so. And then I started running further a little bit. I was like, I want to keep running on the beach. So I ran like 7, 8, started running 9 miles. And I was running pretty consistently somewhere between 6 and 9 miles. And then out on a whim, I saw that they were doing the San Diego, I was down in Balboa Park, and I saw that they were doing this rock and roll half marathon. So I said, hey, you know what? I'm just gonna sign up for this thing, right? It was the next day, right? So I did. I signed up and I ran it the very next day, like no preparation or anything. But I knew I could do it, like, because I had been running. I think the most I had run was 9 miles. So I thought, okay, if I can run 9, I've been consistently doing this, I can make it 13. And so I did, and I actually got a pretty decent time. Like, for me, I think it was, my official clock time was 2 hours and 3 minutes on my first try. It was hard, harder than I thought, but I did it, and it was fun. And so from that point forward, I started running basically 10-mile runs on all my runs pretty much, and then I upped it to 4 days a week, and now I run 40 miles a week, usually 10-mile runs 4 times a week. But I'm gonna actually be running some longer runs on Sundays in order to get ready for the marathon. So I'll be running like 15, 20-milers. I've been doing some 20s here and there. Okay, so I wanted to give you that story. Why? Because I like telling stories. No, because I wanted you to understand, like, some of you that are thinking about being a runner, you don't think you can do it. Look at all my medals now. No, I've been running, right? And I didn't think I could do it, but I think there's something about the distance. So let's talk about the training now. Now all of this, and now we're finally going to talk about what I advise for if you want to run a half marathon, how should you train for it? So the first thing I would say is that I'm not an expert in running at all. I know jack shit about running, to be honest with you. I just know what I know, what I've done, right? I mean, most of this channel is what I know, what I've done. That's why I share it with you, or what I've read, but what I can advise first is that if you want like someone else who's an expert, you can just search for half marathon training program in Google. I know, let me Google that for you. But there's plenty, like Hal Higdon is probably the first name that comes up, and he's got some half marathon training programs, like 12-week programs, or maybe a 16-week. I think it's 12-week for a half and probably 16 for a full. But you can just follow that program and you should be good to go if you follow that program. Now, I will say that, and there's other programs, I will say that the thing I don't like about the programs is that they never get you up to that mileage. Like, I'm the kind of guy, and again, this is probably not optimal. I'm not telling you how to make the best time. I am not a running coach at all, but I don't like having not run the distance. So my personal philosophy for like, if I was going to tell someone how to train for a half marathon, again, I don't know what the shit I'm talking about here, but this is just what I think, is I want to have run the distance or run more than the distance so that when it comes half marathon day, that I know I can do it and I can put my all into it, rather than it being a stretch of a distance that I haven't run before. And the same thing, I mean, I did that with the full marathon, right? I've already run a full marathon distance just to make sure that I can do it. In fact, I'd like to really hit a 30-miler run before I run the full marathon. We'll see if I get time and get my training capacity up to do that. But that's what I'll say first, is that's like, first of all, if you want to go and you want to talk to see what the experts say, there's plenty of training programs online that will get you ready for a half marathon. That's probably like the default best way to do it. Now, that's not my plan. If I were to just give you my advice, just based on my own experience, maybe you're a big guy like me and you want to do something a little bit different, I would advise starting out doing something like a Couch to 5K program to be able to get up to about 5K. And once you can run a 5K or 3.1 miles, now you've got a solid enough base to probably start incrementing and increasing, right? So I would probably, if I were training for a half marathon, if that was my goal, and running it, I want to run the thing, I don't want to walk the thing, I want to run the whole thing. What I would do is I would try to do runs 4 days a week. Okay, and I would start off doing a bunch of like 3-mile runs, and then on Sundays, and the reason why you do it on Sunday is because most of the half marathons are on Sunday, so you're kind of scheduled to coincide with that. You do a longer run. So I would do something like maybe like 3 miles, let's say the first week you're training for this and you've already been able to do a 5K. So maybe you do like 3 miles one day, and then 5 miles, and then 3 miles, and then 3 or 4 miles, or wait a minute. The fourth day you do a longer one. So the fourth day maybe you do like a 6-mile, right? And then the next week you would increase that a little bit and try to do like, maybe do a 3-mile and then do like a 6-mile and a 3-mile and a 7-mile, right? And just keep on incrementally increasing that. So you have got 3 days where you're doing short or medium runs. 2 of the days maybe shorter runs, one of them a medium run, and then 1 day where you're doing a long run until you build up to the point. And I would get to the point where you can pretty consistently run in your runs somewhere between 6 to 9 miles. If you can do 6 to 9 miles and your long run is 9 or more, I would personally get my long run up to having done a full half marathon, a 13-mile run. I think that makes sense to me, but you don't have to do that. If you can run 9, you can run 13. But I would just basically do that and just keep on incrementing it, increasing it every week. Run slow, don't try to run fast, right? You can do some intervals and stuff, but if you're just trying to make it so you can run a half marathon, you don't have to really worry about pace that much, and just keep on increasing it a little bit. And like I said, the thing that's going to be key, right, is going to be, and this is what I do know about running, is the long runs. The long runs are key. Now, I know some of you are experts, and you can leave comments below and correct the shit that I got wrong. That's cool. I'm not offended. Feel free. Like I am not by no means like a professional runner or even pretending to be one, but just giving my advice, like I said. So that's what I would say, is the long runs are the most important thing. So if you're doing long runs and you're getting the mileage in, maybe like 20 to 25 miles a week, you can do a half marathon for sure. And I would personally, like if I were starting over, if I was gonna do my first half marathon, I would probably want to do a long run that's 15 miles. Just then I know I can hit the 13-mile distance, no problem. And I'd be running 4 times a week. I think that makes probably the most sense. And trying to hit, like I said, about an hour running, get some short runs that are somewhere between the 3 to 5 mile range, and then a long run, eventually getting your long runs up to at least 10 miles every Sunday. Now, what do I do? Personally, mine is fairly simple. I just run 10 miles 4 times a week. That's what I do. And then I can run a half marathon. Like, there's no question I can do it at that point. Now, it's probably not optimal because I'm probably wearing myself out, right? I'm probably, I'm doing this fasted and stuff because I'm doing it also for aesthetics, for what I'm doing with my training program. So that's what I do. And what I am going to do, I'm going to start doing, is basically upping the mileage on Sundays. So I'll be basically running 3 10s, and then on Sundays it'll be like a 15 or 20 or something like that. And I should be ready for the full marathon. So I just kind of stay at that level. I don't know if I'll continue to do this forever. I'm starting to kind of, I don't want to say that like I hate running again. I mean, I enjoy it. It just takes a lot of time. Like if I'm running 40 miles a week and I'm slow, that's like 2 hours of running 4 times a week, 2 hours plus, right? If I'm doing the long runs, it ends up being like 3 or 4 hours. So that's a lot of time running. I'm listening to audiobooks, so I'm doing okay with that. But I don't know if I want to, I don't know if it's, I think I'll burn myself out and die if I continue at this level. So I'll probably dial it back after I do this full marathon. I may retire. We'll see. But it was interesting. I want to cross this off my bucket list, make sure that I've been able to do a full marathon and get that medal for it. And then we'll see where things take me. But let me know if you're training for a half marathon, if you haven't run one, if you're interested. If you are in San Diego and you want to run with me, I can't promise, like, I mean, if like 100 people come out, I don't know if we can pull that off, but, send me an email, john@simpleprogram.com, and you'll have to accommodate to my schedule, of course, right? I'm a busy guy, but I basically run from 3 to 5, usually, on Tuesdays, Thursdays, Saturdays, and Sundays, and I run down by the beach in Pacific Beach. But I can do some other locations if you're interested. But let me know, and maybe you can train with me. Maybe you can't go the full 10 miles, but you can go 5 or so with me. I'd be happy to run with you and chat with you as we're running. Can't do it all the time because I do have to listen to my audiobooks, get my education. But I hope this was helpful to you. I think it's cool. I think it's fun to be able to get a lot of bling, get those medals. Some people just run for the bling. But it's a challenge. It definitely is a challenge, and it's tough. And it was one of the, but it was to me, like, being able to do this is a life-changing experience. It just really, because I never thought I'd be able to do this, right? That's why I told you my story at the beginning, is because I never considered myself a long-distance runner. I still don't. I'm not like good, but hey, I can do it. I can make it. 230-pound guy making it under 2 hours in a half marathon. In my book, I like that. That's good. I'm pretty happy with that. Makes me feel good. Makes me feel like there's a lot of shit that I could do that I didn't think I could do. All right, I gotta go. I hope you liked this. If you did, click that subscribe button below and let me know. Let me know what's going on with you. I'll talk to you next time. Take care.